Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture, just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Y'all see the background. Y'all know what we're about to review. We are about to review season 3, episode 8, which is the season finale of The Mandalorian. The episode is called The Return. If you all are liking what you see, and if you like my review of the Mandalorian season, please hit that like button. Also, subscribe. And once you subscribe, you'll be opened up to a plethora of playlists in which I have reviewed different movies and television series on this channel. All right. Using a new camera, people. So it is I see a lag. I don't know. I hope that y'all don't see a lag. All right, let's get into this episode. So it picks up from the last it picks up where we left off from the last episode. And I was a little in my feelings because I'm trying to figure out these spies. And so when we left, it was Bo-Katan's crew fighting Moth Gideon's new troopers. And we see, last episode, R.I.P. Paz Vizsla, we see that he did not make it between the Praetorian guards. So Din Djarin and Grogu split off from the big team. Well, they captured Din Djarin. Grogu splits off from the main team because he's gonna go back and find Din Djarin. He finds Din Djarin and he helps him escape. In the in the essence of him helping to escape, they're looking for Moff Gideon. Now, meanwhile, in between time, they don't realize that Moff Gideon knows exactly where they're at. I don't know if he's had some kind of device put on them, but he is watching in his lair, is what I'm gonna call it. He's watching in his lair, and he sees that they're coming. So the other guards is like, "Well, do you want us to take care of, of the Mandalorian?" And he was like, "No, I got them. You go." He signals them to go out and fight the other Mandalorians. Now, as all of this goes on, Axe Woes, he gets up to the fleet. Because you remember last episode, I was like, how you leave thinking you finna go get some help? And the armorer took the last ship. Well, showed me. Apparently, the Mandalorians have capabilities of flying out into space with their helmets and their stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. It was I thought people would burn up in the atmosphere. The Beskar keeps you from burning up, and they don't always have the Beskar on, the whole parts of their bodies. But I digress. I digress. He got up to the fleet. He signaled the fleet. He told the fleet what was going on, and so they all came down as the Moff Gideon's crew was going up, and they seemed to have just missed each other. So Axe Woes is using the big ship as a cover. So he's fighting the forces that they're not X-wings. What do they call those? I don't Moff Gideon ships is what I'm gonna say because I can't remember what they call those ships. But they're having a fighting thing, but they basically demolished that ship, and so Axe Woes is having to ride that daggone thing back into the atmosphere. Meanwhile, in between time, Bo-Katan's group gets out from Moff Gideon's crew, and they go down into they're not underground, they're really like above ground. And the Mandalorians that survived the purges, that's what I'm gonna call them. The Mandalorians that survived the purge, they take them down to this greeny, grassy area. And Bo-Katan was like, I didn't think that anything could grow here. And they were like, once you left it alone, and we weren't bothering it, it grew on by itself. So imagine after the purge, the fauna is thriving again because there's nobody messing with it or anything like that. So the seedings and stuff like that is there. There's still some places underground that things are growing, but we see but that vegetation. So it is clear to Bo-Katan, it is clear to the other Mandalorians that Mandalore can grow again. They've just got to let it grow. And if they get rid of some of that glass off of the surface, if they can pull up or, kind of dig up some of that grass off the glass off the surface, Mandalore will be thriving. And if they sit over in a dome city, Mandalore would be thriving. About 10 years, Mandalore will be thriving again. The fauna and everything. 10, 15 years, it'll thrive. My question is: are there no scientists in Mandalore? Are they just because they need scientists? They need to have Mandalorians that are scientists that can sit down and they can look at the grass and look at the stuff and see how stuff can grow. I think if Mandalore gets anybody else, they need to get some robots that are designed to clear out the glass and to grow crops. That's what I think. Anyway, let's just kind of get through this because it's not that long. They get to fighting. It was a beautiful shot to see all those Mandalorians come down from the ships. They just flying down from the ships with their jetpacks, and then they fly into the other things, and then they're fighting. And then Bo-Katan has the dark saber, and she's leading the pack, and honey, and the armor. I thought the armor really does fight just with those the armoring tools, because that's all she had coming down was those little tools. But she comes down fighting. So I'm like, who were the spies? Who were the spies? I know the girl, Moff Gideon's first officer, was a spy. Who else was a spy? Because I assumed it was Axe Woes, but Axe Woes is not acting like a spy. He's not acting like a spy. The armorer is not acting like a spy. Who was a spy? The world may never know, y'all. But anyway, that was last episode. We were talking about this episode. They come down fighting. Oh, it was a cool shot. Just see them coming down fighting like Mandalorians. They're coming down, and they end up decimating Moff Gideon's crew. Meanwhile, in between time, you see Grogu and Din Djarin looking for Moff Gideon. They go past. You remember last episode when Moff Gideon was walking past those tanks? Now we kind of see what's in those tanks. They're clones of Moff Gideon. Now, here's what I want to say about that. Y'all remember when the stormtrooper asked Moff Gideon, do you want me to take care of that? Do you want me to take care of them? And Moff Gideon tells him, no, I'm going to take care of them. And then Moff Gideon disappears. But then he comes back and he's fighting Bo-Katan. I want you to just pay careful attention to that because he disappears and then he comes back. So Din Djarin and Grogu walk past the tanks, and as Grogu gets close to one of the tanks, all of a sudden one of the clones wakes up. And it startles Grogu to the point that he kind of stumbles back in his little IG-11 unit, IG-12 unit. And then Din Djarin turns the tanks off. He drains the tanks. And therefore the clones, they don't live. I don't know if they were living. I don't know if they died, but the clones are no more. They get into the room. And then Moff Gideon is speaking to them, telling them those are my clones, and you didn't even allow them to get their first breath, and all this other stuff. He gets to fighting Din Djarin, and Din Djarin is pretty much holding his own. He is really truly holding his own. He somehow gets separated from Grogu, and Grogu gets with the Praetorian Guards. Well, he gets separated from Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon and Din Djarin are fighting a pretty good fight. Grogu is assisting a little bit. What happens is they get separated. So Grogu is fighting the Praetorian Guards, and Din Djarin is left to fight Moff Gideon. So he's fighting Moff Gideon, and baby Bo-Katan come flying in because Din Djarin was holding his own. Then Bo-Katan comes in. and she tells him to go save your child. Meanwhile, Grogu is in there he's just running away from folks. He's not really trying to fight. He is really running away. Uh, Din Djarin and Grogu go in there and they get to fighting. So Grogu is using the Force. Din Djarin is using his physical force, and they end up taking the Praetorian guards one by one by one. Because Grogu, I didn't think he knew. I don't think Grogu wants to kill anyone. He doesn't seem like he wants to kill anyone. He seems like he just wants to incapacitate them. But his force powers are strong, but he's not using them to the best of it, because you remember he force choked Cara Dune. He has the ability to force choke, but he does that when he thinks that Din Djarin is in trouble. And like I said, him and Din Djarin, they worked it out. They beat the Praetorian guards. They come back in. They get the best of Moff Gideon. Something explodes. I thought they was all dead, but no, they weren't. Moff Gideon died in a blaze of glory, literally and figuratively. And Grogu uses the Force to keep the flames from hitting him, Bo-Katan, and Din Djarin. So he uses the Force to keep the flames from enveloping them until the flames are extinguished. So they end up winning, which was good. But let me go back to what I was telling you about Moff Gideon. Do you think Moff Gideon is still alive and he used one of his clones to fight them? Because remember, he walked away. He went away. We didn't see him. And then the next thing you know, he's fighting Bo-Katan. Oh, and I will tell you, in his fight with Bo-Katan, he does break the hilt of the Darksaber. I don't think the crystal in the Darksaber is broken, but he did break the hilt of the Darksaber. And he made a mention of, oh, we'll see, you're a culture that likes trinkets, and y'all are not going to survive without the Darksaber. Not understanding that the Darksaber just signals the leader. Someone can still lead and not have the Darksaber. As you can see with the armor, she was a leader. She didn't have the Darksaber. Bo-Katan at one point was a leader of her group, and she didn't have the Darksaber. The thing that I think that the Mandalorians are starting to realize is that they are better as a unit, as a culture, as a unit, than for them to be splintered off. They are their own worst enemies because they're always looking for someone to take over instead of following somebody and to let that somebody lead. So I think they are very much encouraged, since the greenery is coming back so they can actually live on their planet. They are very encouraged. And it didn't seem like that many of them, but I'm quite sure they're going to send out the signal to the rest of the galaxy to tell them that Mandalore is occupied by Mandalorians. And you know what's interesting to me about this whole saga in regards to the Mandalorians is that how the Empire was telling each little sect what they needed to hear. Like it's not, and keeping each sect separate so that they're always fighting each other and not realizing that there is a bigger enemy. And I think that has shown the Mandalorians that the Mandalorian people themselves are not enemies amongst themselves. They're going to have Mandalorians that have different cultures, and that's fine. You can live as a people and you can have different religious beliefs. You can live as a people and have different tribal beliefs. You can live as a people, but you can still live as a people as long as you're unified under one cause. And that one cause should be Mandalore. So let's hope that all Mandalorians come back. We finally see little Ragnarok be inducted into the Mandalorian Hall of Fame. He finally gets inducted, but he doesn't get inducted with his father there. However, he is inducted in the land, on the planet that his father comes from. So that was great for him, and I'm quite sure that the armor is going to be caring for him. They baptize him in the waters of Mandalore. I was gonna say in Lake Minnetonka. If you know that reference, you know the reference. So he gets baptized, and also the people finally see the Great Forge reignited, which was pretty cool. Din Djarin doesn't stay because, like I said, all of that stuff. He knows that Mandalore is now his home, but he is a bounty hunter, and that's what he wants to do. So he ends up he goes to the new rebel alliance, and he talks with the X-wing fighter. What's his name? Calvin, and he is going to do some work under the books. He's saying, I can come out here and work and let y'all know if the Empire is out in the Outer Rim. He says, we're going to do it. Me and Grogu are going to do this for money. And so he says, I want to take jobs, but I don't want to take jobs that are going to make it so that we're so much in danger because, he has a child to raise. Oh, I did not mention that uh, Din Djarin wanted Grogu to take the oath. But because Grogu can't speak, Grogu understands everything that's going on, but he has to be able to speak the creed. Grogu can't speak the creed. So the next best thing to make him an apprentice is that he has to adopt him as his son, and that's what he does. And so now he's no longer Sir Grogu. He is now Sir Din Grogu. And I was trying to figure out Ragnarok Vizsla, Paz Vizsla, why is he Din Grogu? Why wouldn't he be Grogu Din? Or Grogu Djarin? So is Djarin his name? And child, it confused me. Because I was like Grogu Djarin. That's how I would say, because it's when I think about it, it's Fett. It's Jango Fett and Boba Fett. Why wouldn't he be Grogu Djarin? Y'all leave that down in the comments. I don't know. So they go back to Navarro. They get the I guess he traded in the big piece of land for the land that he has for this, because he has a building on it. I guess it's a home, a cottage. He has a cottage, and they're out there. He's sitting out there watching his son levitate frogs in the force and everything like that. So they're doing pretty good. So basically, I think this is in a nutshell. The Mandalorians have, and it's been recognized, I guess, the people from, what is it, Plaisir 15 is one of the things that's going to help Mandalore be recognized as a separate state in the Empire. So Mandalorians now have a home. So all the Mandalorians that are out stray in the galaxy, they can come back to the house if they want to. Mandalore is now open for business. And we do see the mythosaur down there. So I don't know if anybody's going to be riding a mythosaur anytime soon. So that was, like I said, that was the episode. We never figured out who the spies were. And is Moff Gideon dead, or was that one of his clones that bit the dust? And also, too, those Praetorian guards were so big and bad last episode with Paz Vizsla. You mean to tell me that all it took was a force wielder and a person that's good in hand-to-hand combat to knock him down? Interesting. So that was the season finale. What did y'all think about the season finale? I liked it. I don't know why I expected a end credit scene to show us something else is going on. Is this the last season? I mean, is this like the very last episode of The Mandalorian? Now, I do remember hearing, watching other things that they were saying that Jon Favreau was writing season 4 as we spoke. So maybe that's, it's going to come back out. I'm just curious to see if Moth Gideon is going to make it again. If he doesn't, that's still good, because he's done what he's needed to do. So, but that, like I said, that was the episode. I like the episode. I like the action. I like the fact that Ragnarok Vizsla was baptized like he needed to have been baptized. I am happy to see that Mandalore is on recovery, but I didn't think that this was like the. It didn't give me final episode. It gave me the episode before the final episode. Like there's supposed to be one more episode. And I know we got 8 episodes, but in actuality, we got 10 episodes because 2 of those episodes were in the book of Boba Fett. So we actually got 10 episodes for this series. But what did y'all think? What did y'all think? That's going to be it for The Mandalorian. I really appreciate you all allowing me to review it with you all. I think I'm going to have a little bit more confidence in reviewing other Star Wars segments. The next one that's coming out is Ahsoka, so I'm excited for that. If you're just watching like the movies and maybe just The Mandalorian, if you're interested in Ahsoka, I would send you back to the Clone Wars and Rebels. You will find out more information about Ahsoka. Also, in here in Mandalorian, you found a little bit more about Ahsoka, just a little bit about Ahsoka and what her plans were. This Admiral Thrawn is Grand Admiral Thrawn is apparently going to be the big bad of Star Wars and the Star Wars series, television series, over the next maybe couple of years until the story impacts with the First Order. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. That's it, y'all. Please like and comment down below what you thought of this episode. If you care, please subscribe. Again, you'll be open to a plethora of videos of movies and television series that I've reviewed. All right. And as always, people, bye bye.